I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
Ascension perks in Stellaris represent your Empire's greater ambitions, and in the case of the 4 Ascension paths, their final fate. In this video, I am going to go through every Ascension perk available in Stellaris, break down what they do, and whether or not you should take them. I'm also going to be ranking them in a handy tier list, making everything just that little bit easier. Ascension perks are unlocked either by finishing an entire tradition tree or acquiring the Ascension Theory technology. Also, once you have selected an Ascension perk, you cannot unselect it, so we must be very careful with the perks we pick. Let's dive in and find out more. You know the drill by now, we're going to start from the very bottom and work our way up, starting here with the F tier. It's worth keeping in mind, whilst this is the bottom tier on our tier list, all of the Ascension perks do give you some bonus. What we're really ranking here is how valuable that bonus is. These F tier items either have basically no bonus, or in using the bonus the opportunity cost can be quite high. First up we have the Consecrate World Ascension perk. This allows you to use the Consecrate World decision on up to 3 uncolonized planets within your borders at the same time at the cost of 500 unity. Every time you consecrate a celestial body, it will randomly roll to find out whether that world is a holy world, venerated, respected, or profane. Depending on the level of the world, it then provides a certain amount of increase to unity production, amenities, and governing ethics attraction. You get the best bonuses from consecrating habitable worlds, and the best amongst those being Gaia worlds. If you then go on and colonize any planet you have consecrated, it loses the bonus to consecration, so you have to start all over again. You cannot have your cake and eat it at all. This perk is slightly better if you have the Knights of the Toxic God origin, as you have a relatively alright chance of getting a good outcome when consecrating an otherwise useless toxic world. On top of that, if you happen to find yourself with 3 holy worlds within your space, that is holy worlds from a fallen empire, you can consecrate those with absolutely no penalty. In fact, you get a plus 30 opinion modifier with the fallen empire, which is great, and given you can't use those worlds anyway, well, you might as well. In this last case, I'd probably put this up in the B tier if taken early enough. The main issue here is still that you have to pay 500 unity apiece in order to consecrate. Executive Vigor used to sit comfortably at the top of this tier list. Thanks to Galactic Paragons though, it has been knocked way down here into the F tier. Executive Vigor gives you one thing, that is plus 100 Edict Fund, which is in essence like a free plus 100 unity, but you can only spend that on your edicts. The reason it used to be so good is that it would allow you to very early on run the capacity subsidies and mining subsidies edicts to get a whopping plus 50% to your minerals and energy credits right near the start of the game. However, now we can run those without requiring Executive Vigor. We can simply get the leader trait stacked on our council to stack up Edict Fund and reduce Edict cost simultaneously. As the game goes on, you don't get any additional Edict Fund from Executive Vigor, so it gets worse and worse and worse, and nowadays honestly it's not really worth an Ascension slot pretty much at all. But if you're enjoying this video, please fill an Ascension slot with that like button. Xenocompatibility requires that you are some degree of Xenophile and that you haven't turned this option off in the main menu. I recommend you turn it off. It grants you plus 33% immigration pull and plus 20% pop growth speed if a world has at least 2 different species. It also enables hybrid species to be created. A hybrid species takes a port trait from one of the 2 parent species and a mix of traits from both, with at least 1 trait being inherited from each. They also get plus 1 trait point and plus 1 trait pick, making them slightly better in some ways than regular species. 2 species are also 3 times as likely to get it on if they're part of the same species group. Unless you live in the Imperium of Man and your name isn't Girlyman, this all sounds pretty good so far. But wait a minute, it's actually not. You must fear the Xeno, and not for the reason you think. Having too many hybrid species in your game, especially if you get more and more and more species creating more and more hybrids, there's a factorial number that can be produced here, because I think hybrid species can also crossbreed as well. Maybe, I hope they can't, but they might be able to. Anyway, the issue is, you can end up with so many species individually that it causes some massive technical issues for the game. On top of that, a lot of the streamlining of pops in the game is done by having only pops of the same species. The more species you have, the slower your game will run. So go for it if you want to RP with this kind of thing, but you are risking dire consequences for the speed at late game, and of course, the sanity of your CPU. The Hydrocentric Ascension perk can only be taken if your main species has the aquatic trait. You will get a minus 25% ocean terraforming cost. You will be able to construct ice mining station starbase buildings. You can terraform worlds with the frozen terraforming candidate modifier. That's a new thing that's been added in. You'll get a 50% increase to the effects, positives or negatives, on the aquatic trait, and you will unlock the Deluge Machine Colossus weapon. If you're going to go hard on the aquatic theme, possibly even to a roleplay level, then sure, Hydrocentric may be worth it, but otherwise it's better to find a secondary species that are not aquatic to live on all of your habitats and non-ocean worlds than it is to use up an entire Ascension perk on this crap. Detox allows you to terraform worlds with the Toxic Terraforming Candidate modifier into regular worlds. These worlds are generally quite good worlds once you do terraform them. They have some blockers that need to be cleared and the like, but they are good planets. Why is this down here in F? Well, first off, you need the climate restoration technology, which will come very late in the day. On top of that, you have to take up an entire Ascension perk for, in essence, around 2 or 3 worlds. If you're very lucky, maybe 4 or 5. If you have a massive wide empire, it could be more. But if you're playing that kind of playthrough anyway, why not just go out and conquer more space rather than wasting an Ascension perk on Detox? Not only that, but with the reworks to habitats, you can now get worlds that are as good, if not better, than these terraforming candidates in every single system without the need of an Ascension perk, so why would I bother taking this one? We're up to the C tier now. Of course, everything here is better than the items in the F tier, but you're probably not going to take many of these Ascension perks in very many playthroughs. Interstellar Dominion is very simple. You get minus 20% claim influence cost and minus 20% starbase influence cost. If you're playing on a huge map, which is basically impossible, so I don't know how you're managing it, but if you are and you have the number of AI empires set low enough to leave lots of open space, then yes, it can be good to reduce the influence cost on claims and star bases by this small amount. Most of the time, it's too low a bonus to be really worth it though. Mastery of Nature reduces the clear blocker cost by 33%. It also unlocks the Mastery of Nature decision. That first bonus is honestly pretty much worthless, except in a couple of niche situations, like possibly if you are on a Shattered Ring Origin, but even then, it won't be very good for very long. The Mastery of Nature decision can only be used on a planet and costs a whopping 2,000 energy credits and 100 influence. In return for that steep investment, you will get +2 maximum district size on your planet. Honestly, it's not great. For only a small amount extra in terms of influence, and yes, granted quite a few more alloys, you could get an entire size 6 planet that could be upgraded yet further. You could get a habitat. Universal Transactions is available to Megacorps. It makes your commercial packs free, meaning they no longer cost you a small amount of influence to upkeep, and reduces your branch office cost by 15%. This means just more than 1 in every 6 branch offices would be free, which is a minor benefit. The main bonus here is that free commercial pacts, unless you have basically the entire galaxy as your commercial trading partners and require commercial pacts with all of them, you're really not going to be suffering that much for influence, making this generally quite unnecessary. Grasp the Void increases your starbase capacity by 5 and gives you a 50% increased chance of researching FTL technologies, including jump drives, gateways, hyper relays, and the like. It is also the first Ascension perk we've looked at that requires you pick one other Ascension perk first before you can pick this one. It doesn't matter what that first pick is, you just have to make it. Overall, this is one of the better Ascension perks in this tier. If you're a hive mind, this is slightly better, and I'd probably place it in the B tier, as you can early on get quite a few star bases up and running on top of the normal amount that you would normally go with, that are filled with solar panels bays as well as hydroponics bays, allowing you to get lots of energy and food produced from even more star bases. Lord of War gives you +1 mercenary enclave capacity, allowing you to set up a mercenary enclave somewhere in your empire. You also get 25% additional diplomatic weight from your fleet power, and a reduction of 2.5 months dividend wait time if you are the patron of a mercenary enclave, which should be pretty easy given that +1 capacity we got earlier. Why is this down here in C tier? Because most of this sounds pretty good. Well, you can get +1 mercenary enclave capacity from the galactic community, and that law generally goes through, a lot of the AI empires will push for it, without needing to use up an Ascension perk. Mercenary enclaves also do not allow you to control the ship designs that they have. This means they usually have weaker and more ineffective ships filled with autocannons. On top of that, they have some exorbitant fees once you've actually hired them, in terms of their energy credit upkeep. Archaeo Engineers grants you 33% additional weapons damage from any Archaeotech weapons you have equipped on your ships. You also get 2 extra jobs at the Faculty of Archaeo Studies building, which will increase your minor artifact income somewhat, as well as your research. You will get a -10% minor artifact ship cost, which does stack with other ship cost reduction modifiers. All defensive components and other components will be improved, and lots of your buildings will get a host of other bonuses. For example, that Faculty of Archaeo Studies will increase your minor artifact storage capacity even further, going from 3,000 now up to 5,000. If you are going to run Archaeotech weapons and defenses, this is definitely worth it. However, due to the low income and low storage capacity, as well as high costs of Archaeotech weapons and defenses, I wouldn't really recommend you try that, especially not in the late game. We're in the B tier now. Of course, things here are better, but we still have a way to go to get to the very top. Nihilistic Acquisition unlocks the Raiding Bombardment stance. This allows you to, instead of killing pops on a planet, abduct them and transfer them to your own colonies. You only start doing this once a planet hits 25% devastation, so very early on, this is actually going to take quite a while until you can build up significant fleets. Later on in the game, there are definitely merits for going down this kind of route. By raiding other empires, you're allowing them to increase their relative pop growth, because pop growth is tied inexplicably into the number of pops in a specific empire. So you can go around raiding your neighbors for pops, thus artificially boosting your own pop growth, and then allowing them time to replenish and rebuild before you repeat the cycle over again. This does require that you are militarily superior to your neighbor though, so I would probably recommend you just conquer them rather than going through the roundabout process of raiding back and forth all the time, but that decision really is up to you. Enigmatic Engineering got just a little bit better with the release of Stellaris First Contact. It now grants us +2 cloaking strength, +2 encryption, our destroyed ships will never leave debris, and any enemy steel technology operations will always fail. When it comes to the arm race between cloaking and detection, Enigmatic Engineering will help you hide your ships for longer. This one is probably one of the weaker perks here in the B tier, but it does have a special place in my heart. World Shaper reduces our terraforming cost by 25% and gives us the option of creating Gaia worlds. Generally, Gaia worlds are the second best world type available for any empire. though all empires do have an even better world type than Gaia World, which is why it's all the way down here in the B tier rather than being up in the S tier. Eternal Vigilance requires us to have researched the Star Fortress technology. It grants plus 25% star-based hull points, plus 25% star-based damage, plus 25% defense platform damage, and, most importantly, plus 5 defense platform cap. If you are trying to turtle, if you are trying to build the best static defenses you can in Stellaris, then you need Eternal Vigilance. If you're not, don't take it. Galactic Contender can only be taken once you have taken 3 other Ascension perks, meaning you're probably not going to get this until the later part of the mid-game or beyond. It grants 20% diplomatic weight and 33% damage to Awakened Empires, Fallen Empires, and the Gate Builders. This perk is most powerful when you use it to leverage the additional bonus damage output to fight and defeat, hopefully, a Fallen Empire in the mid-game, thus getting access to dark matter technology, possibly jump drives early, and some of these special Fallen Empire buildings on their worlds. Necromancy is a brand new Ascension perk only for machine intelligence empires. It is in essence their version of the Reanimator Civic. It allows machine empires to reanimate defeated organic guardians like a dragon, and grants a 33% chance to resurrect each purged pop as a cyborg zombie. This is particularly effective if you're a driven assimilator and you want to assimilate a population very, very quickly. On top of that, it has a pretty good combat related bonus, granting 15% extra weapons damage to all large, extra large, and Titan slot weapons. The reason that this perk gets worse over time is that as we stack additional bonuses to weapons damage, this 15% becomes less and less relevant, and reanimated organic Leviathans will become worse and worse relative to the other ships out there in the galaxy as the game goes on. If only we could retrofit our reanimated Leviathan with brand new Tachyon Lances. Wouldn't that be something, devs? Last but by no means least, we have Galactic Force Projection. This grants very simple bonuses. We get plus 20 fleet command limit and plus 80 naval capacity. We also must have 2 other Ascension perks first before we can select this one. If you want to field the largest individual fleets in the game, you will need this perk, but it isn't generally required. If you do grab it early on, it could enable you to get an economic leg up on your opponents around you, and thus either vassalize them or conquer them, which could be very, very useful. But as the game goes on, these bonuses will matter less and less, especially when we get into the realms of late game and repeatable technologies. In the A tier, you will find Ascension perks that are taken in most of your playthroughs, though you won't take all of these all of the time. One Vision is basically a better version of Consecrated Worlds. You don't have to do anything else after you take this Ascension perk. It grants minus 10% pop amenities usage, which is much better than plus 10% pop amenities output, plus 10% monthly unity, and plus 50% governing ethics attraction. The 50% governing ethics attraction bonus is particularly useful, as generally speaking, the factions which have your governing ethics are the ones that you will find easiest to make happy, and therefore you will get the most unity and happiness bonuses from making those factions as large as possible. Master Builders is great to take in the late game to increase our megastructure building potential. Megastructures are of course the best space-based structures we can build with our alloys. They grant fantastic bonuses across the resource spectrum. Master Builders gives you a 50% megastructure build speed increase and +1 to your megastructure build capacity. This means you can be constructing 2 megastructures in different locations at the same time, allowing you to parallelize your construction process and make your overall rate of megastructure build speed increase yet further. The Colossus project allows you to build Colossus ship types and equip them with special Colossus project weapons. This lets you not only live out your Death Star fantasies, but also equip other fantastic weapons as well. You can shield worlds, remove all biological pops but leave the world alive with neutron beams. You can also upgrade worlds if you are a driven assimilator. There are so many different applications for this fantastic technology. Not only that, you also, when you build a Colossus, unlock a special war type. You get a special Total War type, allowing you to save massively on influence in the late game, especially if you're going for something like a full conquest run. Do be careful with using your Colossus weapons though. The galactic community in general will not take too kindly on each usage. These are the WMDs of Stellaris. Defender of the Galaxy gives you plus 50% damage to endgame Crisis factions, which includes other empires that have taken the Become the Crisis Ascension perk. Don't forget that one, it is a very important bonus. This means that Defender of the Galaxy is very, very useful, I would say essential, if you're fighting in the late game against the Crisis, especially on a 10 times or 25 times setting, or if you're coming up against a very powerful and tooled up Crisis Empire. We also get a plus 200 opinion modifier to all non-subject empires. This makes galactic diplomacy a complete cakewalk for your empire once you take this. Technological Ascendancy is a pretty simple Ascension perk. You get plus 10% research speed, and a plus 50% chance of getting any rare technologies drawn when you roll for new technology every time you research another one. It's hard to go wrong with a plus 10% research speed. Generally, I wouldn't take this past the first few Ascension perks, as we unlock more and more, better and better bonuses become available, but for a first pick, well, it's not too bad. Galactic Paragons has given Imperial Prerogative quite a glow up. It grants minus 50% empire size from colonies and plus 2 leader capacity. This is a fantastic perk to pick first or second, especially if it keeps your empire size under 100 just a little bit longer. If your empire size is below 100, rushing your agendas, completing them early, is very cheap and cheerful. And given how important leaders are at the moment in Stellaris, getting plus 2 leader capacity is excellent as well. Speaking of absolutely nothing, here's the secret call out. That was it. That was the call out just a moment ago. Enjoy it. Let me know in the comments below if you're still watching this and you haven't skipped ahead right to the S tier. Alright, let's continue. Next up, what have we got? Voidborn cannot be taken if you are a Void Dweller Empire, and you of course need to have the Orbital Habitats technology. Once you take it, it's basically going to buff all of your habitats. Habitat build cost will go down 20%, you will get an additional plus 0.25 building slots from non-urban habitat districts, you will get plus 2 habitat maximum districts, plus 1 job from every habitat district. You can upgrade your housing buildings on habitats, meaning they can get to the higher level, and you can always research the next tier of habitat technology, taking you into levels 2 and 3. Habitats now are better than ever, and you probably want to put them in all of your systems if you can. For that reason, Voidborn is now better than ever, and these bonuses really do make your Void dwellings absolutely fantastic. Shared Destiny grants you an extra 2 envoys, and you get absolutely no loyalty lost from having multiple subjects. Having more and more subjects is very beneficial in Stellaris, so if you do go for a subject run where you are going to take vassals, you're going to want Shared Destiny. There are a few civics in the game that have the same effect as this, and if you have one of these civics, for example Feudal Society, you probably won't want to take this. Otherwise, I recommend you get vassals, and I recommend you keep them in line using Shared Destiny. Welcome to the very top of the pyramid. We've made it all the way to the S tier. Special congratulations if you have not skipped ahead and you actually watched the video. If you have skipped ahead, I do understand though. Everything in this tier is basically an auto pick in every run you are going to do. Some of these Ascension perks are mutually exclusive or faction specific, so you cannot pick all of them. The only reason realistically you wouldn't pick something from here is because you really don't want to be too powerful. Honestly, I wish I was joking, some of this stuff is just bonkers. Let's dive into it. First up, we have not one, but in fact 6 different Ascension perks. Each perk here will allow you to go down a specific Ascension path. There are only 4 Ascension paths available in Stellaris, and some are unavailable to hive minds and machine empires. I won't go through the details of all the different Ascension paths in this video, but basically, these Ascension perks unlock the best traditions in the game, that being the Ascension traditions, so unless there is a compelling roleplay reason not to force, I don't know, psionic evolution or cybernetic implants or biological ascendancy or a quote-unquote upgrade into synthetic existence, you should always do that in all of your games. It's always worth it. Best not to question the moral implications every time, just reap the massive bonuses you'll get. If you'd like further details and more insights into the different Ascension paths, I will link a video down in the description where I've gone through that in its entirety. But we are already 25 minutes through this video, I'm not going to go through it today. Galactic wonders can be taken once you have built or repaired a multi-stage megastructure. You will then be able to research and build true galactic wonders. The Ring World, the Dyson Sphere, and the Matter Decompressor. Each fantastic in their own right. Arcology Project, Hive Worlds, and Machine Worlds Ascension perks allow you to build the best available world type for your specific empire. Arcology Project lets you build Ecumenopolis worlds, which are the best worlds available to any empire in the game whatsoever. Some empires like hive minds and normal machines don't get access to this world type, and that is a real shame for them. If you find one or more relic worlds that you can upgrade into an Ecumenopolis, you might not take Arcology Project in your run through. It really depends how long you are playing and what level of crisis you are trying to defeat. If you're going for a 25 times all crisis, you might need 3, 4, maybe even 5 Ecumenopolis planets to save the whole galaxy. Hive worlds allow hive mind empires to terraform every planet in their empire into a hive world. Not only are hive worlds the best type of worlds in terms of worker output and worker production, they also allow you to build any district type you want on that planet, which is a fantastic bonus. This means you can re-specialize every single planet you have into producing whatever type of output you would like. Machine worlds allow you to do the same thing basically for machine empires. Machine worlds are the machine equivalent of a hive world. You can build any number of mining or generator districts on a machine world because you are no longer limited by the deposits on that planet. Again, this allows for a much higher level of specialization than other empires get access to. You also get economic bonuses and bonuses to pop production as well on your machine worlds. These worlds are straight up better than a Gaia world, so you should always go for them over getting the Gaia worlds option. Become the Crisis is the single most powerful Ascension perk in Stellaris. It unlocks Menace and the Crisis tab. The Crisis tab basically gives you a whole host of bonuses as you level up. To level up, you need to do despicable things like purging pops, destroying ships, vassalizing or eliminating other empires, invading and taking planets, that sort of thing. As you do get more and more menace and go higher and higher, you simply become unstoppable. At the final level, you have an ability to get a specific megastructure, the Etherophasic Engine, which when upgraded far enough allows you to destroy the galaxy, ascend into godhood, and flat out win the game, no matter what is going on or what point in the game you are at. If that wasn't enough, you get Star Eaters, which are basically like a Colossus, but they can destroy an entire star, and therefore an entire star system, in a single shot. They are absolutely insane. All of this is just really overpowered. The only reason you would not take this is because you don't want the high levels of power, and generally I won't take it in a lot of my runs, because that is then a crisis run, and you're simply trying to kill off the galaxy. It can be fun, but it gets monotonous, killing Xenos over and over again. If you'd like a full description on how Become the Crisis works, and all of the different bonuses and things you can do with it, I'll put a link to my full breakdown video in the description below. Last but by absolutely no means least, we have Transcendent Learning. The last time you saw this on a tier list, it was right down in the F tier. Oh, how the turntables. It is now probably the best first pick for an Ascension perk you can choose in Stellaris. I really wouldn't not take this first, and if I don't take it first, I am almost certainly taking it second. It grants us +2 leader capacity, allowing us to have more leaders. Leaders are better than ever as of patch 3.8. It also grants us +1 leader pool size, meaning we have a larger pool of leaders to recruit from, so we can pick the ones that are better. On top of that, if all of that wasn't enough, we also get +33% leader experience gain, so all of our leaders will level up faster, giving us better benefits and more bonuses. This perk is pretty much an auto pick in every play of Stellaris, and unless leaders get hit with a nerf stick really bad, I can't see that changing anytime soon. In order to pick Ascension perks, you must first complete traditions. If you'd like a full breakdown on all of the traditions available in Stellaris in a handy tier list format, click the video on screen now.